What's up, everybody?
The music's still playing because it's. I got to shut off the YouTube beside me. The music's still playing. I'm rocking out while you guys are going live.
That's called.
I'm wearing this in honor of Beer Snack. In honor of Beer Snack, who can't be with us tonight. I thought I'd bring on the Gimli charm. His is more permanent than mine. What's up, everybody?
What's up, Daniel? What's up, man?
What's up, everybody?
Steve, Joe, Brett, Izzo.
I'm ready for the show.
I'm jealous. I have to work tonight. Can't have any beer. Can't have any whiskey. I gotta do this sober. Shit. Am I taking lead on this? I'll take a lead on this. Welcome to the Ham Radio Club, everybody. Welcome. I'm going to pull out. Frank, I'm boring you. Welcome to the Ham Radio Club. You said you were prepared, buddy.
Did I? Oh, I wasn't. Steve, how you doing, buddy? How was your week?
Doing well. Staying busy, doing stuff around the house still, but almost done with those projects so I can get back to more radio-related projects and get some videos going. So, good stuff.
Awesome. Joe Brett.
Hey.
Cooking. You were gonna. You said you were gonna play the Howard Stern role tonight, right?
Whoa.
My ears can't take that twice.
So anyway, twice.
Damn.
What happened before the show stays
backstage.
So much I want to say right now, but we can't. Anyway.
Listen, nothing's cooking for supper. I've already ate, so I'll do that before the show. And Here we are. Glad everybody's here.
Thank you, Hamaholic. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Shane?
It's been a mundane week. Not a lot going on. Weekend was okay. I don't know if y'all watched the video. This has been probably one of the highlights. We're going to get into this a little bit later, but I had one of those life-altering weekends. I'll just leave it at that.
Wow.
That was
you
fun.
met Jesus.
I did.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
And he didn't have a beard.
Okay.
At 400 feet.
Izzo, nice little stash you got there. What are you trying to grow?
It's almost a Fu Manchu.
Oh, look at that.
Well,
you got a little pinch with the goatee. What is that called? That's called a...
this is my whole je ne sais quoi coming on. I don't know.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know. I every once in a while, I get in my mood and I say I'm not going to shave and I want to see what I can grow. And here I am 57 years later and I'm still trying to fool around with something. And I don't know. But I got a good cigar tonight. We're around some good friends. It was a crazy weekend, Evan. And unfortunately, I did not get out to do POTA last Sunday and Monday. But we ended up taking care of some major yard work that had to get done. And this guy got to go play with a great antenna. And somebody helped me. She even came out and she helped me. So if that's not a trooper, or if I'm not one of the luckiest guys in the world, I'm pretty darn lucky. So, something.
Awesome.
So, but I got Sunday and Monday off coming up, so we shall see.
What antenna can you share that? What antenna?
It's the Buddy Pole Plus. Came
nice.
in and everything. And again, shout out to Joe Brett, shout out to Shane, shout out to Jason from 2.0. Big shout out to Dwayne. Dwayne really, something, man. When we talk about hamming it forward, he really spent some time with me. And the first thing, one of the things he said, "Did you watch the video?" I said, "Yes, I watched Shane's video." I said, "But did I comprehend Shane's video?" Is more of the question. But
Probably not.
No, I didn't, because I needed to have it in front of me. I am a doer. I'm a doer. I got to do it. And once we set up some things, and the biggest thing was the feed line that I was using. My own feed line was not correct. But guess what? It's working. I made a whole bunch of POTA. I made over 30 POTA contacts as a hunter from my backyard with it. I got some great DX on it. So this guy's happy tonight.
Yeah, that's a really good antenna.
It's a great antenna to add to your stable of antennas. That's what Dwayne and I agreed on. So
Nice.
So
I got so many shack projects done So I was off last week. I'm off this week.
Mhm.
And so many shack prop. Maybe I'll show you guys a quick picture. It's not going to be good.
Yeah,
so I don't have
us.
a lot of light here. I'll change the camera. I do have it. Hold on. I have 3 screens. I can never find my cursor. There it is. All right, I'll change my camera here so you guys can see.
Cursor.
But behind me, you see the wall there is all done, and it's got floating shelves. There's grooves that the different glass shelves can go into.
Oh,
you can tell it's a wall by the way it is.
Oh.
And then those are 3 foot deep. Oh, shut up. Those are 3 foot deep pull-out trays. So when you do your project, you can put the parts in there and put it away, and they come out. They're 3 foot deep and about 2 feet wide. And so I got that done. I changed an antenna today with my buddy who's watching VE3 OJN. We changed out one dipole and we put in the MFJ. No, not the MFJ. We put in the G5RV Junior because I wanted to get that back up there. And I rebuilt my 1982 MP antenna, and it is working beautifully. And very happy with the results. So I got videos on all that coming out. And
wow,
right there, you see that silver thing right there?
A guitar. A guitar.
Oh, that's my keg. That's going to become my dummy load. I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to make that into a dummy load. Yeah.
Well, he's got to empty it.
I thought he put a kegerator down there or something.
Do you mind if I throw out 2 shameless plugs?
Go ahead.
All right. The first one, for anybody in the Connecticut area, and I don't care how far you all want to come, we're going to do the first, what I believe is the first Connecticut meetup for Parks on the Air. So if you're a new guy, you're a seasoned guy, we're going to do some show and tell. We're going to be at the Ham State Park in Madison, Connecticut. I posted it on the Connecticut Ham Radio Facebook page, and I'm going to post it on the POTA page, the big, POTA page. So if anyone wants to come out on Saturday, October 23rd, why did I chose that weekend? Because the weekend before, we're all going to be playing POTA. And I know this guy and many of my other brothers over here are going to be using W2 HRC from around the country, as well as many other people. So come on out. Very informal, show and tell, and everything. The other thing I wanted to say is I got to tell you something. The POTA hunters just last weekend were incredible. There was a lot of new people in the parks, and I could hear some hesitation in some voices, but they did a fantastic job because we all know what it was like to do your first activation. It's nerve-wracking. We get it. But the more you do, the more your self-confidence comes up, and there's no really wrong way of doing anything because you got out and you played radio. But I got to tell you something. All right, but don't tell Joseph up there in Canada. He had
a 60-meter antenna.
He had a killer signal. I think I worked him with 10 watts.
We're never going to hear the end of it now.
So everybody in the chat, don't tell him he had. I don't know what he was playing with, but man,
Don, you know this is live, right? We can't edit that out.
I thought this was Memorex.
Oh.
The old people got that. Look at Steve. Steve got that.
Don, what band were you on when you made contact with Joe?
40. I think we were on 40 meters.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's
not 60.
No.
By the way, since we're saying stuff we're going to edit out about Joe, Joseph, VE3 GKT. No, I'm serious. So he's always bugging me to get onto 60 meters, and I told him my rig doesn't do it. And then yesterday, I realized that my rig does do it. But you have to go into you have to push the memory bank so you can go through the channelized options. That's why, right?
Well, yeah. That's so you're not doing anything illegal,
right?
Too bad.
Daniel, can you go back to the other camera view? It's very more warm and inviting. I feel like I'm just beaming into your forehead from this angle. I think it would be great to see. Look at this. Look at that.
Dude,
you got the lighting.
Yeah.
You got the lighting. You got the ambiance.
There's something else that you didn't see, but I hooked up the amp is hooked up.
That's an amplifier.
Is that a tuner?
Oh yeah, that's an amplifier.
That's a heater.
That's a shack heater. It's a different kind of. It's the other shack heaters. That's what it is.
And I apologize for this background, guys. Yes, I'm in the garage. I'm having a cigar. It's all wet. It rained like hell out here. I think
as long as you're not in the doghouse, that's all I.
No, we're not in the doghouse. But I think starting next week, I'm going to be downstairs in the shack, and we'll have an appropriate background, maybe a little bit warm. Maybe I'll run something blue too. Who knows?
Yeah.
I switched to
They're not-
orange in honor of Halloween coming up.
Okay.
Oh gosh, dude, it's like
Yeah.
it's the second Halloween's over. The next day, it's like it's the most wonderful time
no.
of the year.
So
No,
It's
no.
already there.
Lowe's,
They can't
the
even
big
wait
box store.
2 days. They can't even wait 2 days after one season to start another one.
Christmas
Daniel.
Eve at Walmart are up.
Daniel, let me go ahead and get you started on this rant. I walked into Lowe's this weekend, and they already have Christmas stuff out.
Are you serious?
That's it.
Yes.
I went into Home Hardware or Home Depot, and there was like this 20-foot skeleton structure. Like it was a skeleton you can buy, and I was thinking like that'd be the perfect thing to like straddle on a roof and like have like walking over the roof to come get you. But like, could you imagine?
Or hold
like,
your antenna
Yeah.
up.
That's right.
Hey,
Hold
then
your
your
antenna.
HOA won't know.
I walked into Walmart because I had to have candy. I was going for chocolate, and then also I went around the corner to where they are in this like the stuff where they start pushing the Odysseys and stuff out, the markdowns, and they got all the Christmas pallets all laid out. They're just ready. They're waiting for those Walmart elves to come in, and just like you guys are saying, it's only a matter of days now before.
Mhm.
So, yeah, retail.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
Hey Shane, so
Yo,
Don, did you do your 2 shameless plugs? I'm just
Yes,
like
yes,
did you
yes.
get both done?
I gave-
Okay.
I gave my second one was giving props to the man who we don't
Okay.
want to say his name or call sign. So
Okay.
no, he was good. He had a great. No, seriously, you got to give credit where credit's due.
Oh, he does fantastic. He does amazing. I just unfortunately we're too close. I mean,
and he doesn't smoke a cigar, so.
although we made contact on 40 meters before, but anyways, tonight
y'all probably aren't too close for 80.
How about
I was listening to 80 the other night. It's so hilarious. It goes between hilarious to sad. And the one thing is that people need to realize, I don't know why people on 80 meters don't know this, but there's nothing you can do to change people's political views. There's nothing. You're not going to change people's minds, and it's just so funny. It's hilarious. I just sat there and somebody messaged me and I was like, can I go back to listening to 80 meters now? Because I was just sitting here absorbing their bullshit. And I thought it was amazing. I thought it was hilarious. But tonight we're talking about Kilo 5 Quebec Bravo Foxtrot. Shane, you and Ham Radio Dude, that's right, you did amazing parachute. No, not parachute. Come on, hot air balloon. Hot air balloon.
Parachute.
We took a flying
Mobile.
machine into the air. It's
CQ
radio
calling. CQ calling from a wicker basket suspended by balloons. How about that?
It does become a parachute when it runs out of fuel.
Yep.
That's
They're like, Shane, speak faster and fill it up. CQ.
exactly. That was phenomenal. I use that word a lot, I guess. But when I'm at a loss for words, especially someone like me who doesn't shut up, I was speechless. We everything leading up to the setup, playing with the inside the balloon and stuff like that. I mean, it was that was really cool and all. And I've never been in a balloon. I don't think Dude's been in a balloon before. So we were just sitting there going, all right, what do we expect? And it's one of those things where the pilot's telling you, okay, so whenever we do this, there's this really loud thing that's going to be above us. And then when she fired that thing up, when they were pulling everything out of the trailer, I about jumped out of my skin. It was so freaking loud. And mind you, it is, let's sun up. So it was about 6:30, 6:45. And that particular neighbor was like, hey, yeah, you guys can use our backyard. There's an airport or a runway right behind their house. And I didn't realize how loud that thing was. So it's like, man, your neighbors must really love you. Because if I was if my neighbor fired up a dadgum jet engine at 6:30 in the morning, I'd be coming out the front door.
Blowtorch.
So how
and
did you...
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. You first.
Okay, so for those who didn't no, we got to set the scene here.
Correct.
Those who didn't watch the video, or those who are listening to the podcast and don't know what we're talking about, Shane and Ham Radio Dude went into a hot air balloon, and they made contacts on both UHF, VHF, and
Yep. 2 meters and 20 meters.
HF. Yeah. And so number one, how did that whole thing get coordinated? Where did it come from? And then how did all the pieces fall into place?
Yeah, so I think Dude mentioned it on a live stream a while back. I think it was probably July. He mentioned about doing something crazy about, involving hot air balloons and radios. And I sent him a message in Discord, and I was like, hey, I've got a friend of mine who owns a balloon. She used to have a business out in Georgia, and then she moved to Texas because she flies for American Airlines now. And so she hasn't officially opened up the hot air balloon business here, but she has the balloon. She takes people for rides and stuff like that. And I said, hey, I know somebody. If you're serious about doing that, I can hook you up. And he was like, yeah, he said, you can make it happen. Let's make it happen. So I reached out to Janet, and she was more than ecstatic about taking us up and learning about ham radio and kind of what we'd planned on doing. And there's a live stream on Thursday on Dude's channel where we're going to go through all the lessons learned, all the things we would do differently, stuff like that. So when he gets that link, we'll post it. I'll tweet it out, but that'll be an interesting live stream too, because we have so much to talk about that we're going to run out of time here going through all of it. But yeah, so Janet said, let's do it. And we kind of didn't really know what to do. I've never been in a balloon. The timing did not work out at all where I could go to Janet's house and look at the basket or anything like that prior to. My schedule didn't work. Her schedule didn't work. So we were just winging it. And so she sent me some pictures of, where we could put stuff. But when we got there, it's like, we should have set this up yesterday. That way, when they brought the basket out, it's ready to go, because it's very quick from the time that they have that fan running and filling that thing up with cold air. It's called the cold air inflation. From the time they do that to the time that they lift that she heats that air and raises it up, it's a very short window from when you really need to get off the ground, because you're burning fuel. And there's 3 tanks of propane on that thing, and you burn quite a bit heating up the balloon. And then once you take off, then you're the only limiting factors you have is fuel and the direction of wind. And the forecast that we had projected a really good, solid 2 hours in the air, which she was going to be fine with. We're going to run up 3,000 feet, just kind of hang out there. It's going to be nice and gentle. And it didn't work out that way. It was crazy.
Wait, I'm sorry. The goal was to go up to 3,000 feet?
Yeah, the goal was 3,000 feet.
But you hit 400, right? And I was like, I was amazed.
Yeah, so the max we got was 500 off the ground. And the problem we ran into is Texas is well known for there's this jet of air that comes out of the Gulf of Mexico from the south, and it usually just blows straight north to south. Well, today, for some reason, I guess because Shane had to get in a balloon, it was decided to come in from the southwest, which means it pushes you northeast. And then once we got up to that level, the wind went from the calm 3-4 miles per hour we had to almost 20. Now, the balloon can push up through that. That's no big deal. It's not a fun ride because that's quite a bit of wind shear. So we just decided, no, there's no seatbelts.
That's my point.
Well, I mean, when I say it's crazy, it just means that the balloon will tilt, and then it'll pull you up through it. I mean, you can go through that. Yeah, it'll tilt. The balloon itself will tilt forward. It's like a pendulum. It moves, Don. It doesn't stay static. It's giant.
You mean it doesn't move? It doesn't just stay there and the earth rotate underneath it?
No.
And that's where you get your... No?
No, the earth is flat. You don't know that, Daniel?
Ape is correct.
Right? So we get up and the top of the balloon started getting into that layer, and we felt you could look down, and we went from just creeping across, really briskly moving. Wow. And then the direction that the wind was blowing was pushing us towards Lake Ray Roberts.
Okay.
So Lake Ray Roberts is huge.
And that's the POTA park that you guys activated.
Yeah, that's the one we do POTA in. I was like, maybe we should take the balloon over there and just sit it down in the POTA park and just call POTA, or just hang out above the park. But so we get to we're up there. Janet notices right off the bat. She's like, you know what? If we can try to push through this, but we're going to burn a lot of fuel, and I don't know how deep that layer of air that's moving way fast is. So she said, do you guys want to just stay here? Do you want to go down? She goes, because to prolong the flight, we would have to go down. Because as fast as that wind was blowing, when we got to within a couple of miles of the lake, we would need to land. Because of the distance of how far away it is, we were going to run out of fuel. She said, when we get down to one tank, we have to land, because that's her 45 minutes of fuel where she starts looking for a place to land in case she has to, in case there's
That's
a
a good
so there's
pilot.
not so it doesn't turn
That's a
into
good decent pilot right
emergency. Yeah, she's awesome. So so we made the decision to kind of say, well, we'll stay down low. And but the problem with staying down low is you really have to. So her balloon doesn't have turning vents, so she can't rotate the balloon around. She's totally dependent upon the wind, and so she was drifting around trying to find an altitude that would get us away from the lake. She found it at like 350 feet, and that's how we got to do HF. Because when I was finished doing 2 meter was when she was saying, hey, we're probably going to have to land in about 10 minutes if we don't find something else. So that's when we were like, well, crap, we haven't got started with the HF.
Right.
And that's the one we were most excited about. So so we threw the antenna out, and you saw I don't know if y'all were watching the live stream, but dude was just frantically trying to get everything set up, and Janet was trying to find us an altitude that would work, and she found it. And we were able to, that led us to where we could get the extra 10 or 15 minutes to get us some actual contacts on 20.
So you guys when you did you guys used just your regular rubber ducky antenna off of it?
No, we had one of the Ed Fong roll up J poles.
Good antenna.
So there was on one side of the basket. I just put the edge of it over, and then just kind of put some of those bungee cords around it, just so that it would hold it firm against the basket. And then I had the feed line to it about this long off to the side. That antenna worked really well.
Okay, and then I don't want to get into too much details, so I don't want to take away all your content for Thursday night there, but you guys use,
there's a lot.
I would imagine
we won't
NFED half wave, NFED quarter wave. What did you use?
Yeah, so we had the K6ARK, his little tiny NFED half wave.
Okay.
And we had it on. We had 20 and 40, and
one of those
that didn't work. Yeah, there you go. One of those.
Oh, look at that!
Tiny.
I still got to build that thing.
Now, you were doing QRP, right? You were on 705,
5 watts,
right?
Yeah, okay. We had the IC 705. Originally, we had thought I had you saw in Dude's video, he brought a battery, and I brought my Miati battery because we wanted to run 10 watts. But that, it got to the point where whenever we were getting ready to set up, she had already had the balloon stood up and we were ready to go. And I was like, well, crap, we don't have time to secure all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So we just kind of said, well, screw it. Let's do QRP. So we did 5 watts.
Yeah. So I listened. Obviously, that was your best contact, strongest signal you received. So I was very honored that I was in the video, but yeah.
Twice.
Yeah. Well, see, I didn't know because I couldn't hear you. And this is what I was going to say is I heard you calling CQ, but your signal was so low that anybody farted on air and had the same setup.
Yeah.
Right.
Hamaholic, the farthest we got was 16 miles on the. We had one station that was about 16 miles south that they heard us. We were on the HT. They were on a home base unit on the 2 meter.
That sounds fun. That really sounds fun.
Yeah, now, I was hoping to get a little bit more out of that.
Yeah. Yeah, so when I watched the live stream, I was quite shocked. I was like, wow, that was short. It was like 30 minutes or something like that. So I knew something was up, so very cool. Well, hopefully you guys planning to do another, to coordinate another one, or
so yeah, I want to make this a regular thing. If I'm just brutally honest, I've talked with Janet, and Janet's she's able to do it anytime we want to do it. So
Is she willing to get her ham radio license?
Well, that's another thing we talked about because she was having problems talking with her chase crew. The handheld radio that they were using wasn't working well. So Frank and I was able to talk on our HTs and had no problems making contact. So I told her, I said, you ought to get your tech license so that you can run a Baofeng off of this thing and you can talk to anybody, and you have if you need to switch to a different frequency, you can. And she was like, well, we went through, was the test hard? And I said, well, let's not worry about the test. Let's go get a couple Baofengs and test it first. So, and then when we were on the ground, one of our crew members was asking, once we told him, what kind of radios and what kind of contacts we made. One of her crew members was like, so is it hard to get into the ham radio stuff? So we spent a good 15 minutes just chatting about radios and why we did this. And I think a couple of people out of her chase crew are going to go at least get their tech license so that she can utilize ham radio for her air to ground versus having to depend on an FRS radio, which didn't do the trick.
Because FRS radio is going to be like a half a watt, I think.
Yeah, I think they're 2 watts.
Anyway.
They're definitely low.
Yeah, they're definitely low.
And having Frank the tank part of your ground crew, I mean that's crucial. So
yeah, absolutely.
Where is
I'm
I'm waiting for him to pop up somewhere.
No.
Right.
Did you guys have your own ground crew, or are those just fanboys following you around?
No, so Janet has to train each one. So there's 1, 2, 3. There's 5 positions on the ground crew, and she has to train people, on what to do so that she can have a safe launch. So there's a person that runs the fan. There's this rope that's on the top of the balloon called the crown line that holds the balloon stable. There's people that are unfolding it. There's people that are securing the basket to the vehicle. I mean, she has a group that flies with her all the time. And then once she lets off,
right?
yeah, there's a whole. And I wish I got a little too giddy and I forgot to set a camera up to do time lapse to show the whole process.
Next time,
because I was like, Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a good. I think it took about 30 minutes total from the time that she had everything out to the time we were ready to go. And that was
how does it come?
That was,
Can I ask? So she drives in a vehicle to this area, and this thing like one of my collapsible tents, and I'm sure it's got to be packed away appropriately.
There's it's a big ass bag. Literally, the best that I could describe it is, what those I guess there's 250 gallon plastic totes are. They usually have like aluminum cage around them.
Yes, yeah.
So it looks like one of those. It's just round, and everything, like there's a method that they use to fold it up and put it in that bag, and then the bag just ties up on the top, and then that sets off to the side, and you separate the basket and the top of the basket where the burner and everything's at, that comes off, and that sits down inside the basket so that it makes it where it's not so tall, so you can transport. She had a single axle utility trailer that she pulled it in. Then she had a minivan that she drove around that carried. It wasn't enough for everybody because we had Frank and Hardy. Sorry, Hardy. I apologize. Hadn't had much sleep today. So they followed in their vehicle, and they were running. They had a mobile and a handheld, and then they had an HF radio.
So when they get up in the air, the ground crew then job is to follow the balloon as best they can through roads, and within that general area.
So that's another part of the crew requirements is the chase driver, and she's constantly, she'll tell them. She didn't on this one because they're really familiar with that area. But normally the balloon would communicate down to the driver and say, "Hey, there's a road coming up here on your right that, because we can see where that road goes."
Right.
Yeah, it's like, "Hey, take that road coming up there on your right, and you've got a clear shot to where we're probably going to be landing." So there's a good coordination between the balloon and the chase crew.
So I have a question. Did y'all talk about the patches in the balloon?
No, not at all. I'm glad there were patches. I don't want to see any rips up there.
I just wondered if they was iron-ons or what. So
no, they're sewn.
Okay.
And anytime that has to be done, that has to be sent back to the factory that manufactured it to be fixed.
Oh, yeah.
You have the opportunity to put a Ham Radio Clubhouse sticker on the balloon on the outside.
Oh, I thought about it.
Is that approved?
I know dudes in the chat, man. We totally should have put one in the basket, and I forgot.
I want to tell you, after seeing what y'all have gone through and everything, and somebody, I think Dan or somebody pulled up some prices of some used balloons in different size baskets. And, man, it'd just be easier to get a Cessna.
Nah. I mean, it would, but the Cessna's $100,000. A balloon's 27.
I know. There's some more expensive than that. So I have a question for the chat. So we've seen Carlos do Parachute Mobile. We've seen Dude and Shane do the hot air balloon, CQing, whatever you want to call it.
Hot air balloon mobile.
Yeah, hot air balloon mobile. What would be like? There's not tons of other things that would be just mind blowing. Like,
don't leave this up to the chat.
No, I'm serious. So obviously we all say, okay, if we got, civilians went to space, that would be amazing. Like CQ Earth, this is, Victor Alpha 3. But like, what else? Like Mount Everest, which we know the only hope of that is K6ARK, Everest Mobile. Hopefully one day that's going to happen. But what else? Like
that's got to be like a 40-point summit. I mean,
it should be hang
with a 10x
yeah.
With a 10x multiplier.
Yeah.
Right.
So we have a hang glider, parasail. But like, what else? Like,
definitely taking the Bofang on the parasail.
So I do have a friend of mine who's he's a paraglider pilot, but he's got the one with the motor on it. So I should reach out to him. That'd be kind of cool. Powered parachute on the air.
You're going to sit on his lap while he goes.
It's a trike. No, it's a trike, you doof.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay. But like, what else? Like, but base jump and stuff, like you can be like, CQ. Whoa, got to deploy the
Too
parachute.
late.
Like,
CQ.
No, like I guess a container ship would be awesome in the middle of the Atlantic.
So,
or what are
Ron,
some destinations that are never activated? Like,
there's a lot of those.
There's
a lot of those. There's a few parks that I want to go to that you can out in the Bahamas that you can fly to and activate that way.
Yeah.
Ron's got a good idea with a blimp.
That wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
That's not.
I have to do some digging, and it's not.
The Goodyear. They still call it the Goodyear blimp.
Airship.
Yeah,
they still call it the Goodyear blimp, but it's not a blimp. It doesn't qualify as a blimp, right?
It's an airship.
Right.
That's right.
Why? What's
it's not a hot air balloon.
It's not hot.
Liberty Cave says private jets on the air.
Because a blimp, I believe, has to have no structure on the inside of the. It has to be like the balloon that Shane had, where it has to inflate with air pressure. Okay. And the Goodyear blimp, has a whole skeletal structure inside integrated into it. And so it doesn't actually qualify as a blimp, but they still call it that. A lot of people still call it, but it is an airship.
I have a question for James Linden in the chat. Did I talk to you on Saturday doing POTA? Because I thought I did. Anyway, sorry, squirrel.
Oh, our whole show is squirrels, so squirrels are good, right? Okay. It's like when you're like, where's the squirrel? It's like, okay, the show's over. So like, submarines. That would be an interesting. Somebody should do like the communications, like World War II communications on submarines, right? Like that would be. Like I know I've seen a documentary on it before, briefly talk on it.
Mike, did you not watch how that ended?
Yeah, Mike. That's,
one little spark,
Yeah,
Mike. And the last words were "Izzo, ham harder," and that's all they heard.
I bet you if they did like a real extensive look into it, they'd blame the Zeppelin antenna for that. Like the spark from the Zeppelin, there's no ground, and the counterpoise was shit. So the guy who designed this antenna didn't know how to ride a tow ride. So, anyways, but
the guy did not watch the YouTube videos that his friend put out.
Exactly. He didn't.
Man, if some of the greats were only alive back then, what would we do? Those guys can build an atomic bomb, but they couldn't build a damn antenna. Like I tell you, like that's where we're at now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Interesting parallel you have there, buddy.
Oh wow!
I feel a rant coming on. I feel
someone had to push the button and the signal had to go to it. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. I was trying to explain to my kids the other day about mutually assured the MAD program that you guys had in the States with the Cuban Missile Crisis and stuff like that. It was called MAD, and they had the Titan silos, and it was mutually assured destruction. So it's essentially that's exactly what it was. And it was like, oh shit, there's a nuclear bomb coming in. Well, we're gonna die, but let's make sure they die with us. And then they would shoot back, and they could shoot it before the other one landed. So it was kind of like that was the standstill. That was the deterrent. It was the guarantee that if they bombed you, you'd bomb them back before they could do anything. So
now, wouldn't that be a shame? Because Joe Brett just got that 705 back. And the world's going to Joe Brett. What would you do? You just got the 705, and now the world's going to end. What do you got to hurry up and get some contacts in.
CQ POTA. While I'm at my house, because it don't matter anymore.
Test.
Yeah, please copy.
Please copy.
So James is saying Canada was part of the MAD program. Some of that infrastructure was in Canada. Oh, that's interesting.
Yep,
that's very interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Yeah, but where did Shane go? I had another question about hot air balloons. But,
I was gonna say he went to get a beer, but no, he's got to work tonight, so he didn't get a beer.
Yeah. Oh, I see him coming back to the camera. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Shane.
But that was that was really fun to watch. Again, it's not something that you see on a normal. So, but Shane, dude, and the ground crew and your pilot, thank you. That was really, really fun.
I can't wait to do it again. And she's actually, we've already talked, and I'm going to go start learning the ground crew positions. And she was like, hey, if you'll come help crew my balloon, I'll do an exchange with you for lessons towards your lighter than air license, and then you can use my balloon. So.
Oh my God! YouTubers Balloon Fest.
I don't know. That one seemed a little tight.
Okay. Nah.
I'm not a small feller.
I know.
If I lost a few pounds, then it'd be all right.
I just can't wait.
Good, yeah.
I just can't wait till next year when Shane's like, I'm going to the Huntsville Ham Fest and I'm coming in the hot air balloon. CQ Mobile Huntsville Ham Fest, here I come.
Monsanto, get ready. Shane, how many people can you fit in there?
3 in her basket. 3. There's another ride operator just not far from. We actually saw them while we were up flying, and they can take 14 in theirs.
Wow.
14?
Yeah.
But don't you have to, isn't that another class of license? Because after you have so many people on,
it's all done under the commercial license.
No tonnage or anything.
Yeah, very interesting. So so give us a sneak peek of some of the things that you're critical about. Don't go too into detail, dude. I'm not stealing your show idea, but we need to have a little bit of content. What are some of the aspects that?
Yeah.
Actually, how about you set up for your show on Thursday? What are some things that a few of the topics that you guys would like to address?
Does dude want to come in here too?
He can message us if he likes, but yeah. So I mean, the biggest thing is planning ahead of time. I think next time I want to go to Janet's house, set the radios and stuff up in the balloon when we're not burning fuel, when we're not crushed for time. That way we can put things exactly where we want it. If we need to go to the hardware store and get something, that way we can put things out of the way. Mm-hmm. We can secure things a little more. A little better. I won't have the camera on my head. I want to mount it like up above where you can look down into the basket and see what's going on. Mm-hmm. Maybe have a couple different cameras. Antenna selection. We want to explore different ideas, different options. And I think on his stream, we're going to reach out to some people about, what would you recommend? The infrared half wave, I think, worked really well. I learned that you shouldn't touch where the antenna connects when your
Yeah,
buddy's transmitting.
yeah. You shouldn't do that.
That's called even at 5
RF.
watts, that thing will bite.
Shane, was there a weight?
I just started looking over like,
yeah, and you won't do that again. Did you guys, or were you thinking for next time? Was there a certain amount of weight that you used, and was it the right weight, or should you go heavier or lighter? You think?
as far as for the antenna?
Yeah, for the antenna, throwing that out.
Well, we didn't put anything on it. It had this little clip on the end of it, and I think that might have been part of the problem is the line wasn't stretched out because it was really, really, really tiny poly stealth. So I have a feeling that line was either kinked or it may have been it wasn't pulled tight all the way. So I think definitely next time we'll need to figure out how we were going to weight that down a little bit. Well, we had the ability to do 40 to do a full 40 through 10, but dude, in a rush, wound it backwards on the other antenna that we were going to use. It was a heavier line. So when we went to look at it, we were like, oh, crap. Now it's wound backwards. So we'd have to undo one element, then unwind the other one. Then we have a nest of wire in the basket. So,
okay. So I was assuming you had like a couple of 2-ounce sinkers or something just to. So again, for
something
next
we didn't
time,
think about.
Hey, it's called an experiment, man. This is why you experiment. You have fun.
Well, actually,
yeah, I thought that the insulator on the end would have done it, but it didn't. It was still not tight enough.
One of the things I remember this from Carlos's sort of post-op, live stream or whatever, was that he had to play with the weight, I believe, a little bit, just because different angles, like with the air of movement, and I'm sure on the hot air balloon it'll be very different too, because when you're falling from a parachute, you have pretty much a stable momentum coming down, but with the hot air balloon, depending on the wind current, so that may be something you guys are gonna have to play with.
So think about this: when you're inside that pocket of air that's blowing you around, you're moving at the same rate that it is. So there's no wind. So until you come up into an area where there's wind shear, where you have an opposing piece of wind coming from another direction, you don't feel a breeze or anything. So that line that's going below you pretty much doesn't sway back and forth. If it's weighted, it wouldn't sway back and forth because there's no wind down there. Unless you get down into an area where you're descending into a wind shear, and then it may blow your antenna back the other way as you're going down into it.
Good point.
So you guys were pretty much a horizontal polarization the whole way, or was it like
vertically? So we had it vertical, hanging off the basket.
Vertical polarization, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so that's different. I would have expected it to be like, tailing behind you. That's pretty okay. That's different.
When you're drifting along, there's nothing to push it back there.
Yeah.
The Buddy Stick Pro sticking horizontal off the basket.
Where are you going to put that tuned radio?
Chris, are you listening?
He's like, damn, I should have bought a tie wrap.
Where's Dwayne? I saw Dwayne in the chat. Dwayne, speed dial him.
So what's funny is that before we came on the show tonight, Steve and I were here. I muted Steve and I was on my HF because I was listening because I wanted to continue testing my antenna that was up. And I tuned into these guys talking on 20 meters, I think it was, or 40. And they were talking, the guy was talking about these guys who went on the expedition, who brought a Buddy hex beam, one of the early prototypes, and set it up. And he's like, I don't remember his name, but he has a whole YouTube video and it's very interesting. Wouldn't that be Dwayne? Was that
either Dwayne or Jason?
Well,
I think it was Dwayne because they talked about going doing
to
POTAs
Alaska?
and the expeditions and
Yep.
Yeah, so it was very interesting I was on HF and Dwayne, you're famous. Congratulations,
Yay!
buddy. You're 40 meter popular, so very good. But it was really cool to hear these guys talking about it. And I was like, I know what they're talking about. But
Beer Snack just posted a very interesting. The gears are turning here. If the equipment was in a second balloon, if the other end of the antenna had its own balloon, you got.
So we can control but if we were to put like a helium balloon, it's just going to go straight up and keep trying to go away from you. So we would constantly there wouldn't be a way to keep it static because we wouldn't have anybody on that other balloon.
No, you put somebody in that balloon. You put another cap.
Oh, you're talking about- how close do you think these balloons can go? They're like, oh,
Well, that's what I want to know, because if you can run out 200, 300 feet of wire.
I don't want 300 feet of wire coming loose and dangling below me. There's power lines in this country.
dude, just do,
All right. Well, again, this is why we talk things out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not giving you shit or anything. I'm just saying.
No, you can't be shit. This is why we talk.
I think I told her she kind of said the maximum she was comfortable with was about 70 feet hanging off the bottom.
Okay.
And Scout,
Captain's
it's funny
cool.
you said that because I had my drone, I had my drone and I left it at the house. So
There you go.
yeah, but
I was going to do some. I was going to fly the
could've
antenna
flown.
out and then follow
Really?
follow it with the drone. Yeah. Something else I thought about.
Yeah, but like
I got a
what's your
half-hour
gonna
battery.
last?
Yeah, half hour. Then I can just I
Yeah.
have three batteries, so I just fly it back to the balloon, change the battery out, relaunch it, and send it back out.
And it's tied. It would technically be tethered off to your balloon because it's on the antenna.
Yeah, if
So,
it quit, then it would just be dangling down below. We just pull it up.
We'll see how good the solder is that you guys did on your antennas.
Right.
Oh, don't worry,
Yep.
we have the wire. Think. Oh shit, that solder didn't hold.
There goes my drone.
Flies into the side of the balloon. Propeller gets it.
And Hamaholic, yes, we used the roll-up J-pole. We used the Ed Fong from Ham Radio 2.0. That
So,
antenna that he sells.
So Dwayne is saying that someone local heard that conversation too and told him about it. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he's talking about you guys. So that's awesome. Does anybody in the chat have any questions for Shane before we kick him
Yeah.
from the stream? No, I'm joking. But anybody have any questions about the adventures with Dude? If you guys want to know what he thinks about Dude in person, like you can ask that too. So
That son of a no. I do. While people are thinking up their questions, I do want to do the one in the chat. And we got 47 people on here. I think that's a good representation of the folks that normally tune in. If you want to see more of that, and you would donate $1 or $2 ever so often, put a 1 in the chat. Because here's what I'm thinking. So it cost us about $800 to get that balloon for the flight. So that's something that probably couldn't do quite often. But if someone were to put up, or if I were to put up a either a GoFundMe or a Patreon account that is just for that, and then when we get to that magic number, then we'll go book a flight. And if it's me by myself, then I can pick somebody. If y'all want to come with me, we can go do the same thing that Dude and I did. So I see a lot of ones in the chat. So
We got $22 so far. We're on our way.
I would give up a cigar for you, my brother. So there you go.
Listen, I'm willing to donate if you can get a guarantee that they can put NOS instead of propane.
well, that's an
Oh, my
oxidizer. So
God.
we gotta have we have to have a fuel first.
Holy Christ.
Listen, it shows how stupid I am with cars. I don't know engines.
Oh my God.
we need more power. More power.
Oh no, that
I'm
thing
just
had plenty of
surprised.
power.
I'm
I
just
thought I was gonna
surprised
have
Shane didn't.
less hair.
Dude, it lasted. Listen, if it was a guy, if it was a date, it would be a disappointment. It only lasted half an hour. Okay, it was supposed to last 2 hours, and it lasted half hour. Okay?
There it goes.
So, let's be honest. Here.
Jeez,
Now Shane's got to go
why
mop
you
the floor.
Why are you shaming me, buddy? I already had performance anxiety.
Can't wait for
And
the
that was cool that
podcast
you.
commercial for that one.
Right?
Did Shane and Dude get the customary champagne dowsing after the flight?
We did not get the dousing, but we did do the customary champagne toast for the flight. And Dude had cider.
Yeah.
She broke out the $50 bottle of champagne, so I was like, I'm not turning that down.
There you go. That's why it cost you $800. You had to pay for the champagne.
Yeah, there you go.
Ham Radio Venture Guy says, I will donate if you go up with Molson, and he rants the whole time.
But the only thing is, well, that might not be a bad thing because she has to keep the air in the balloon warm. So she would interrupt you about every 2 or 3
Every
seconds
time
with a
Molson gets
giant.
going,
Hey,
when
maybe
Molson says a bad word.
no, maybe
Right.
she'd save fuel if you ranted the whole time. So much hot air coming off of us. But so you
I will
also
give
had
away one
ATRS,
thing that We did, and when I went back and looked at it, it looks like we only sent out one packet whenever we were just as we were taking off, and there was a digipeater about 12 miles away that was like 1,600 feet in the air, and I don't know why we didn't get more packets in. I could hear it going off, but I didn't know if it was sending. So I don't know if I didn't have it where it was supposed to be automatically beaconing, because I had dude test it before we lifted off, and I think that's the only packet. So it must have been in where you have to manually send the packet. But that's another lesson learned.
You just blame that on dude?
No, I blamed it on the not having the radio set correctly. I borrowed the radio, so I didn't know anything about it. So that's my bad.
Nope.
And Dan, I think you actually have to move a significant amount for the smart beaconing to work, but it has to also be turned on, not in manual mode.
I learned. So when I bought my rig here, my dual band rig, when I bought it, the guy I bought it off had it set up as APRS. I didn't know it. So it told me to put my call sign in. I put my call sign in. And then like a year later, I'm on a stream with Ham Radio DX. He's like, oh, I know where you live. I said, how do you know that? He goes, oh, APRS. So I don't use APRS. And then
Show enough.
Sure enough, you do.
Yeah. Although I reset the radio not long after that. So it doesn't do APRS anymore, but it was, fun times. Yeah. So there's not too many questions from the people in the stream, but you were about to say you were going to get one little nugget.
What was I going to say? Oh, so next time will be these.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because whenever she was hitting the gas, I could not hear anything that was coming out of that radio. So mandatory next time would be to have a set of headphones on. And I'm almost tempted to get like the ground support one that's got the cover that covers your mouth when you hit the TX button. I don't know if that can be wired up. I know, Daniel, you've wired cranes into CW things. So, but there's a helicopter or there's a military style headset that has 3 cups. It has a headset and then it has a cup that goes over your mouth. We use them in the airlines whenever the wireless ones when there's lightning nearby, we can't use the wireless ones. But where that would cover up your mouth, to where if I'm transmitting and she hits the burner, it wouldn't affect the transmission. I think that was the biggest thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
I'm thinking a nice Dave Clark headset with noise canceling mic, but I think your might be better, one step better.
I did see somebody in the chat earlier that was mentioning, they was talking about the impedance mismatch might be too great for ham radios with that setup. So you may have to look at that.
Well, we were still getting out. I mean, we still made it all the way to Florida and Canada and South Carolina.
SKT has an excellent idea too. That throat mic with it's called the pancake. Well, a lot of SWAT and other tactical officers, you put it on here, and when you want to talk, you just take your elbow, you kind of push in. So that
as long as we can cover up the mic where you don't have that rushing. And I also realized, so it's still, I don't know if that would cover up. But I also noticed that if I got lower down in the basket, the torch wasn't so loud. Because literally, when I'm standing there, the bottom of the torch is like ball cap level, maybe a little bit higher. So it's literally right above your head is this giant torch going off, and so that was the biggest thing. Oh yeah,
yeah.
Did you light your cigar off of it?
I wanted to.
That would have been great.
Yeah, there was one time where she did a really long burn to get us to change altitude, and it was so hot, or it was hot enough that I'd actually put my hand up there to make sure it didn't melt the GoPro. I was like, well, that would suck.
We put the link to the StreamYards in the chat there. We have James coming in November 6th, Romeo Delta, also stroke VE3. I believe that's James Linden. But if you guys want to come on and chat with us tonight, be sure to hit out the StreamYards. Yeah, if you're naked, if you're not dressed, if you're driving, if you're arguing with your wife, don't come on, please. Like, come on. But and then if you guys don't have all that stuff going on,
naked, I got
come
excited.
on the show. So James, how you doing? We also got Beer Snack checking in.
Don't come on, please.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Don't have all that stuff going on.
Naked, Someone needs to mute their stream.
Someone's got to
New
mute
guy.
their YouTube.
New guy.
And if you don't mute your YouTube, get out of here.
Wolf's going to be the bouncer tonight.
Also,
No,
before we get rolling here, at the top of the chat there is a link, and it's called "Buy Me a Coffee." So if you'd like to buy us all a beer or a couple beers or something like that, shoot that link. We only mention it one time during the stream. If you feel so compelled to, the link's at the top of the chat, and we thank you guys. There's been some fantastic donations that's come in from that, and we thank you guys a lot. We're coming up with some really cool ideas to utilize those funds to put back into the channel and to donate and further the ham radio hobby.
Entertain you.
And entertain you.
Entertain you and inform you and educate you.
I wouldn't go that far.
So Daniel's the entertainment. Don, you must be the information. So who's the other one?
Hello.
Oh, I'm sorry, Shay, I didn't see you there.
Oh yeah, this big yellow and bright sky shiny. Hello. Sorry.
James,
How
are
are
you
you, sir?
Are you Canadian now, or are you still in the States?
No, I'm in Barrie. I'm in Ontario.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, welcome
Thus
to Canada.
Thus the Stroke VE3.
Nice.
Rules
I
and regs.
worked you
Oh,
on
man,
Saturday. I worked you
Yep.
on Saturday, didn't I?
And you
Yeah.
had two other operators with you.
Yeah. So we had Frank, and then we had Harding with us, and that was on the Buddy Stick Pro.
Was that Tank? Frank Tank?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the
well,
the K5AHJ. That's Frank.
I have arrived. I have worked Tank on the radio.
There's proof.
It was this weekend was brutal. I went up to a park in the camper. It was raining the whole time, but hey, it's a camper. But I did 250 something contacts.
Wow.
And you know how hard it is to do November 6th, November Radio Delta, stroke Victor Echo 3, all those contacts.
I would have said it in my CQ and said, "Hey, if you forget about it, you forget about it."
Memory one.
Well, I
Right.
haven't. My radios are so new. I've been so busy actually doing POTA. I haven't figured out how to pre-record my CQ yet. That's coming.
Oh man, that saves your voice so much.
Once you do it, James, once you do that, man, you'll be like, "Thank you."
Well, so I bought an 891, right? Because I went POTAing with Bo, the Lion Hawaiian in Delaware, and he had one. I had my DX10. I had my DX10, and we were calling CQ, and he's like, "Doesn't this have a record?" And I'm like, "Well, you have to have an SD card in the DX10." But he went over. We went and used his radio at another park, and he had a pre-record, and I'm like, "That's just cheating." Like
No.
but I get it now.
After the 700th CQ, you're like, CQ, POTA.
Dude, if you gotta run into a Walgreens, a CVS, or wherever, man, or I don't care what it is, just run into a local drugstore and get yourself an SD card.
I buy them in bulk. I have like 30 of them at a time. So
where are they? Where are they? They're not with you.
One's in the radio. One's in the radio.
Now it is.
I haven't done it yet. Oh no, it's been there for like a month. I haven't used it yet.
The most important thing that I learned about my 950 about the recording is how to turn down the playback volume. Because like there's nothing worse than when you're like you hit play for CQ to play the CQ and it's like blasting at you and you're just listening to yourself. So I figured I check the manual from 50 down to 7 because it's just like it's the most annoying thing to do, especially if you want to stream your thing at one point and it's just going to be you talking to yourself. But listen, if you arrive with Frank by making contact with Frank, you are done when you make contact with me. That's pretty much how it goes.
That's a heck of a bucket list.
Then I can't ever talk to Daniel because I have big plans in POTA.
Very good. Good.
I might actually be going over. I'm sure everybody knows the couple outside of Montreal that does POTA. Frank Charlie Alpha, VE2 Frank Charlie Alpha, and oh man, I can't remember his call. Wonderful couple. I might be going over to Quebec and doing a little bit of a mini row possibly.
Nice.
In Quebec. So because my goal is to activate every state and every province, at least one park each.
Nice. There you go.
Nunavut is going to be. Oh, I don't even know how I'm going to do Nunavut, but
it's like my brother-in-law works in Nunavut, or he still does. He's on vacation now, but it's like $1,800 each way for the travel. And
give us
like
a geography like
Nunavut is the farthest north territory. Well, so there's Northwest Territory, and Nunavut. They're basically the top of Canada. Basically, you're going over the Earth is round. Don't get me started. The Earth is round. You're going over the top. Basically, when you start going into Nunavut.
Okay.
Yeah. That line,
North Pole.
That line,
pretty much.
Yeah,
that line, like he's talking Yukon, Northwest Territories. It's in line with Alaska or a little bit higher than that.
A bunch of Alaska is south of that.
And then Nunavut, that whole line there was where the NORAD, all the NORAD stations were.
Yeah.
Now, is there a VE park? Is there a sanctioned VE park up there?
Oh yeah, there's parts of
Nice.
it. Yeah,
nice. That's a challenge. There you go.
But I figure everybody's doing like the easy ones. Obviously, work all references in Delaware, for example, or DC. Those are the two easy ones. I'm like, okay, my wife and I want to travel. I got the camper. Let's do every state and every province. Why not? So, of course, I'm gonna hopefully be on YouTube by the time most of this happens, and I'll be putting up a GoFundMe to help me pay for. Yeah, because Hawaii, Alaska, Nunavut, they're just going to cost money. They're going to cost a lot of money to get there.
Oh yeah,
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
Beer snack, you got to put your volume up, buddy. You're very, very low.
You use your tank voice.
he's got a migraine tonight. So
See you, buddy.
peace out, brother.
There you go.
So, guys, we have the link to the live stream in the chat if you want to come in and talk to us, have questions, or have a topic you want to talk about. We'd love to have you come on.
I will say, without Dude, this probably would have been another 6 or 8 months for this to before this would have happened. So Dude made this happen.
Thank you, dude.
So, James, so you just moved. So, did you set up your shack yet? Or do you have a shack in your QTH? Or are you exclusively going to be doing POTA and roving?
Well, I mean, the winters are here, so yes, I will be getting something going in the QTH. I actually was just outside this afternoon. I've got inverted V up. I did make a couple of hunt contacts. It's only a 40-meter end fed, but it's a start. So, but I do have a friend just across town, one of my Elmers. He's got a good shack and a good antenna, so I might end up just hanging out at his house a couple of evenings a week all winter.
Cool.
But he's the guy with the fish hut, so we are planning to hopefully we would like to find somewhere in a park where we can put a fish hut and do a POTA from a fish hut this winter.
That'd be cool.
While you're fishing.
Ice huts on the air.
Yeah,
Ice huts on the air, brother.
Ice huts on the air. So just because it'd be different. Like, it's not nearly as cool as a hot air balloon, but I don't think anybody's done, at least that anybody's talked about.
We've all done the winter field dates from it, but no, we haven't actually, including me, because here's the problem that I find. I want to do it, and I have parks that will allow me to do it. My problem is I can't go out solo because you're encapsulated in this thing, which is great from I can hear everything and operate, but you lose your surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
In today's world, unless I have the missus be my security guard, which I can maybe twist her arm to do, it just gets to be like, I mean, we all have our protective measures with us. We'll just say it like that. But still, that's the only thing about that you're doing something totally different, where you're not on the lake fishing with other guys. Again, we get all that, and from a safety and a security standpoint, it's just not. I don't feel comfortable. So I'd have to have a 2 or 3 man crew to do that. But,
when
can't
the
say
border,
it can't happen, but
when the border's open, I will definitely come down. And it probably won't be this winter just because the way things are going, but I will. I don't mind traveling. I'm actually heading to Pennsylvania this weekend to pick up some of my stuff. So, yeah, I will POTA anywhere, anytime I possibly can. So you're like the rest of us now. You're keeping POTA equipment in your vehicle at all times.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, you see this piece of sheetrock here? It's not even finished. Mm-hmm. I got here 3 weeks ago. I had to whack this wall up really fast so I can have an office in this house. Like, I haven't got I'm just going to put a curtain over it. I'm not going to bother taping and mudding it. I'm just going to put a curtain up and Done.
Paint it
Green
green.
screen.
Green screen.
Green
There you
screen.
go.
I mean,
My stepdaughter's actually a photographer. I think she actually might have a spare old green screen, so that might be
there you
easy.
go.
So
Interior decorating tips.
yeah, yep.
So speaking of the inverted V that you put up there is I'm gonna sneak a little bit of I was on the other night. I was on, I think, 20 meters. Had a conversation with this great gentleman, and he is the inventor of this fantastic, really cool, unique antenna. That's all I'm going to say. Really cool. And I told him over the air, I'm going to send you an email. I want to get him on the Clubhouse. I don't want to say what antenna is because I don't want somebody else saying we're going to have him on our show or interview. We know how this works.
Shane.
Come on, we know how this works. No, it's all good. But some really, really cool guys. Did you guys check it out? By the way, did you check out?
Yeah, that's really cool.
That is very cool. Anyways, so inverted V. Very cool idea, and I got to see if I can get myself a good deal because it's bloody expensive. But we hope to have it on there soon. Well, we have Evan who came and joined us. Whiskey
Evan, good
9
evening.
Zulu Alpha Whiskey. How's it going, Evan?
Evan's got good internet tonight.
Look at him.
Yeah, we've got fiber in the shack tonight. What's going on, guys?
Oh,
There you go. Dropped in the fiber. Nice.
Dude, you put
Flexing.
Joe Brett to shame. Look at that.
I had fiber in the house.
You woke up Joe Brett.
I had fiber in the
but
house.
he can't tickle my ears like Joe Brett does.
That's absolutely true. I don't know that anybody can do that. See?
I need Joe Brett to record my for me,
We all need
Right.
Joe Brett
Yeah,
to
there
do
you
that.
go.
or Mike. I mean, if Mike recorded my ICQ, they'd be like,
Yeah.
"That's MRD, but it's NRD." What?
Yeah.
Evan, the shack is looking real nice back there. I like it. Looks
Thanks,
real
man.
nice.
Thanks,
Workshop
I
slash
see a
shack.
lot of levers.
Yeah.
man.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a multi-purpose.
So you have a big boom mic
multi-purpose
there,
area.
buddy. You have a big boom mic there. You're not using your big boom mic?
No, I'm using the webcam. I just kind of got things rearranged in here this afternoon, so that's hooked up to my VHF radio, and I haven't had a chance really to move it and mess around with it. But
And that's all I can
We'll
think
get
about
there.
right now is we finally got Daniel to bring his camera view down, and we're in your ceiling.
I'll move it. I'll move it. Oh no!
Oh, this won't last long. This is not going to last.
Evan,
long.
tell us about the antennas. What are you running for antennas?
Well, so I put a very very poor video up on YouTube. Go check it out. It's under my YouTube name, Hamaholic, but it's pretty damn cool because it's a 20 meter and 40 meter vertical, and I've got it now hooked to my roller tuner in here. So I've got an antenna switch that's built into that. I think it's a MFJ 969 maybe. But it's really neat because I can listen on my 7300, and I've got the choice now between the end-fed half wave or the vertical. And there's a difference. There's a major difference, and it's been pretty interesting to look over at like PSK Reporter and see what's going on the vertical versus we'll call it a horizontal. But I mean, today I was sitting there and I was able to talk to Australia, Hawaii, and Alaska, which I've never heard them in the shack before. And it's like a $25 home built antenna that was made out of an old extension cord I killed with the lawnmower. So go check it out over on my soon to be better YouTube channel. But it's interesting and it works.
Joe, you just recently put up a new antenna, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I did. 80 meter loop. It's working all right.
And you can switch between the two like Evan was talking about?
I can switch between the two, vertical or horizontal.
Nice.
And somebody gave me a new idea. I wish I could remember stuff. We had this Discord chat about note taking and stuff, but somebody was telling me you could take the 80 meter loop and you can put a switch in the middle of it, somewhere in the middle of the wire, and make it a 160 dipole. So I'm gonna have to study that.
Things that make you go.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Well, that sounds like a linked dipole, pretty much the same thing. So I mean, if you've got the ability to add length to it or subtract it, you probably can do the same thing with a Lower band. That's pretty cool.
How would that
Just
really? That's a horizontal loop, right? That you have.
Yep.
I wonder how that would affect. So you do a joint to the middle. You have to separate it. So you make it into. So you have to. So you have a feed point. It goes around and it doesn't reconnect, right? So it's just.
Yeah. It reconnects, makes a full loop, full circuit.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to split it in two spots, right?
Nope, just one. So essentially,
you're feeding from the center line, yeah.
Yeah. So then you'd have two wires instead of one. So you'd be making a dipole out of it.
Okay.
Well, that really got y'all thinking.
I'm telling you, smoke is getting ready to come out of my earphone.
My problem is I don't have enough space to do an 80-meter loop.
Yeah.
You know.
You want another brain twister?
Go ahead.
A couple of the Canadians here were talking about hooking up to a railroad line to do 2,200 meter.
They're gonna load up a rail.
A rail to do 2,200 meter.
Will antenna.
Wow.
Just use the G90, it'll tune it.
Yeah, there you go. You know what, Joe, I bet you if we reached out to the Don, I bet you he could tell you how to switch that.
Well, he's already telling me it's not a dipole. He's already corrected.
Don,
I apologize, Don. I'm sorry.
Don, I need you to come in. N5 SKT, I need you to come in because I got a couple of questions about this horizontal loop turning into a dipole, and then isn't there come from the point where your length is too long if you hook up a rail? Like,
I don't know. Like I said, it's not even a thing I've even thought about. But a couple of the guys here, they like doing weird stuff like that. So like,
right,
a lot of the rails are electrified though. Got some kind of current.
Yes, they are.
Mm-hmm. No, these are all.
We'll just put a
rails.
DC blocking capacitor on it, guys. Come on.
Yeah, because whenever the rails are shorted, that's what triggers the gates to come down for the crossing.
Yeah, well, it'd probably be a short to ground, right? I don't know. Because you can walk. Kids walk on the tracks all the time, so it's not like.
So, in my younger stupid days,
volts through it.
Well, in my younger stupid days, you could take a metal pipe and you could lay it on top of the rail and make the crossing arms come down.
Okay, we're talking about there's no crossings for.
Oh, just a piece of rail.
No. It's railroad, but there's no crossing for miles and miles and miles and miles. There's
Our technical member is here now. Our technical member has joined.
Thank you, Don.
Tell us about this loop with a switch.
Yes. Loop with a the last time I heard Joe talking about this, it was just a basic loop. So it started at the feed point, went around this house, and came back to the feed point. So that's what I was talking about. That is definitely not a dipole, right?
No. Okay. So I was talking about how with someone.
I feel a little bit smarter because I'm like, how the hell are you gonna make that into a dipole? Keep going, Joe. Dig yourself a grave. Let's go.
Okay. So
friends are far.
The conversation was I wanted to do a 160 meter loop, but then I realized I got power lines that I would have had to went through, and that wouldn't have been good. So I did the 80 meter loop, and then somebody in this conversation was like, well, you could put a switch in the middle of the loop in the wire, switch it to, make it two pieces of wire instead of one, and you'd have a 160 meter dipole. I mean, I didn't dig into it, but something like that.
Did you look at making it maybe 160 meter rhombic?
No, because I skipped geometry. I don't know what that is.
Classic.
It's more of a kind of a rectangle, so it flattens out on the sides. I don't know what your situation is where your power lines are, but it makes kind of a triangle, and then at the far end of it, you do split it, but you put a big resistor there.
And does that make it directional, or what's the resistor do?
It balances it out so that And I don't remember exactly what it does, what the resistor does, but I know you need one.
Because I
It's
know
kinda
I
like-
bet it does.
kinda
I
like
bet it
on a
has something to do
beverage.
with resistance.
no, but I know, like on a beverage, you put a resistance, and it'll make it directional, right? Or you on a beverage, you'll put a resistor on the end to ground, it'll make it directional. So I don't know if that's the same thing or.
Well, this isn't connected to ground. It's
No.
a resistor in between the two wires.
So on your loop is say my microphone here is center. You're going to take off both sides and you're going to close the loop, right? Are they both connected to the center connector, or is one open? Is one to the shield? Is one like
one's
how
to,
are you connecting?
No, it's not connected to the shield. If you do it right, one is connected to one end of the ladder line, and the other one's connected to the other end of the ladder line. Because you really got to. It works a lot better with ladder line. Now,
So
in some cases that's not practical, but
so in that case, technically, if Joe was to put say our origin point is our ladder line, we go equally on both sides to close the loop, and you put a switch at the center point on the other side, you are splitting it, but it's not set up like a dipole.
Yeah, that would be more like what somebody said earlier, a folded dipole.
Yeah.
And you put a switch into it.
Or an off-center fed.
It switches it off.
Yeah.
Well, the off-center fed would mean that it's shorter on one side than on the other.
One side's longer than the other.
And then if you put it in the middle, then it would be basically a folded dipole almost.
Yeah.
Not quite close to a folded dipole.
What if you just trained a squirrel to just chop your antenna in the middle?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you've got a loop. If you put ladder line in there, just load it up. Tune it up. Put it on 160. In the case of you doing a ladder line, you're not going to lose a lot using the ladder line. You're not going to burn it up in heat in the coax. So, I would say load it up and see what happens. Because 80's not that
just wire.
60.
How high above your house did you get that, Joe Brett?
About 20 to 25 feet, depending on where it's at. It's not
where I'm out. I got to figure out the inverted V is just going to the halfway down my fence in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
If I get something up, but I keep everything really low profile here. So I'm trying to figure out if I can do that like 2 feet off the edge of my roof.
Yeah, I already do that, Mike.
So we have on our next segment of Redneck Engineering. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to Redneck Engineering right now. We want to talk about tuning a railway line.
Well, the problem with a railway line, right, is that it's on the ground.
Sits on the ground.
I mean, you could use it as like a receive loop or a receive antenna, but I don't transmitting off of it. I don't know.
I'm going to have to, the next time I hang out with those two guys that were talking about it here, they're locals. I'm going to have to inquire more because like it just kind of went in. We were doing POTA and they were talking while I was activating and it kind of went in, I did the blonde thing, went in one side, out the other.
So there comes a point where, like, even on a receive antenna, like beverages, I don't think you want to go past 5-6 times the wavelength in which you're trying to receive, because then it actually starts to work counterintuitive. That's why you don't have major issues with hydro lines, right? So like the big power lines, but I think that I'm sure you could tune it if you had a proper length, but I'd have a hard time to think that just miles and miles long of a antenna or of a rail line. First of all, just the length of it. Second of all, the size of it, and then third of all, the height of it. That would be a really darn hard project to do. But hell, that'd be a fun episode of Redneck Engineering with We Build, We Learn. I'll tell you that one.
Extreme Invis.
Yeah, no kidding.
You got to think if you could somehow isolate 2.2 kilometers of rail line, you would have a full wavelength on that frequency. If you could somehow isolate it,
and if you could find a bridge going over a big valley or something, then it would be up in the air, right?
There you go.
There you go.
Y'all should tune up a rail bridge.
You know how exciting that episode would be as you ran from the railroad police?
Dude, I'd have to grow my mullet. I'd have to grow a mullet. I'd have to buy an old pickup truck and get a what's that Dukes and Hazard T-shirt. That's what I'd have to get.
Now in Canada, don't they have this rail line in Canada that goes from like one end of Canada all the way over to the other? It's supposed to be a great train trick.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's not straight by any means, though.
No. I know. I've heard really good things about it because I'm kind of a train nut, and that was one of the ones that I've heard is like once in a lifetime type experience, just to go and catch it on one end of Canada and take it all the way through.
So Scout 75 is making fun of my hair issue. He says I can only grow a skullet. Thanks, Shane. I appreciate it.
They make some really high quality wigs these days, though.
Yeah.
It is Halloween season.
You know, I was thinking about what would be cool to activate. What about old forest ranger towers? Yep. Wouldn't that be
Fire
like
towers?
So I actually went to one in New York. It was a little bit busy, so I wasn't able to do it. But I went to one. It was about 55 feet tall from the ground, and it was on a hill. So from the surrounding countryside, it was probably about 120 feet out, and then the valley was several hundred feet down. It was just too busy for me to get up there and do a slope or something off the side of it.
Yeah.
But I ended up activating the parking lot down around the bend. But lots.
We have one here. We have one here in Connecticut. I operated it from the park, and and I Googled everything. I'm like, yeah, fire tower. I can't. The visions of grandeur start going. Oh, what can I do? I get up there, and they actually put the fencing around it, made it part of the communication tower for our law enforcement state network. But again, there was a lot of fire towers. Just Google fire towers, and the history behind them alone is fantastic. So,
There's actually one like 45 minutes north of me. It's not in a POTA area, but I suppose I could go up there and activate it. Not POTA.
Yeah. So do you guys not watch Ham Radio TV?
Well, he has that's the ultimate.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate.
That thing is huge. I mean, and by the way, if y'all don't know, he has a big YouTube a YouTube channel on. He's out of California, and his club or group or whatever has gotten a hold of this old military tower in California that actually sits on top of a mountain. And
nice.
There are pictures. I mean, he's got videos and pictures of it. They use it at field day. It's a magnificent site.
As well as they
trying to get it fixed up.
Don, have you seen the part where there's a section of the property where you can, if you're into, I'm not sure, is it paragliding? You can jump off the side of it and you can fly. I guess the thermal heat of the air will keep you up. And
oh yeah,
Shane, there you go. There you go. That's what you're gonna do.
Paragliders on the air. Yeah,
paragliders.
There you go.
So I think like there is a nostalgia for like the old, for me at least. My great grandfather was a forest ranger back in like the 40s and stuff. They'd have to canoe and then hike for 8 miles, and so there is that sort of nostalgia. And there's a lot of old ones that obviously they're not used anymore, that are still there. The structures are solid. It'd be awesome if you could go to the top and throw an antenna out and activate it. We should do that. Forest. What would the abbreviation be? That like FOTA, like
forest towers on the air. Fire towers on the air.
Fire towers.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys had titles called wardens and WAR, the warden, and it was either warden of the county, and he was. I think, and I met one up in New Hampshire a few years ago, and the stories he was telling me were just, oh my God, I couldn't get enough of it. And when I asked him, I said, "What were you guys doing for radio stuff?" He said they did it all on between low band and 150 megahertz.
Wow.
And there was some directional antennas for VHF, but for low band, It was just basically like a CB weapon, 30, at like 33 meg, a 36 meg, 40 meg. That's how they communicated. Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that would bother me about those would be knowing that they're safe to climb. That they're at least maintenanced or they're not that old. Because I've seen pictures of some of them that look like they're just about to fall down.
Well, that's right, because back in the day when they were built, they were sturdy. Some of them were wooden. That's
right. That's the ones.
One. Like, wow.
I went up in one local to me to get a repeater out of it, and it took about 2 cans of wall spray before I could finally get in that bottom hole.
That's actually something I carry in my POTA gear.
That's a good idea.
A wasp repellent. And now up here, I'm going to have to get a Cannabear spray.
Yep. So I need to take a quick pause.
Because
I need to make a quick pause because I have to work tonight. So I'm going to have to step out. You guys continue. I'm going to turn you guys on in the background. Thanks for everybody who came out. Thanks for everybody who checked out the video that I made today. Put in the comments, hit the like button. We're going to get something going. We'll get some more. I'll get some more hot air balloon stuff. We'll make it happen. But anyway, thanks everybody for hanging out with us tonight. And I will see you guys next week. I got to jump out.
Shane,
can I ask you a quick question, Shane?
Yeah.
Back on the blimp thing, can you get a wiggle or whatever on your pilot's license to fly a blimp? Is that something completely different?
No, it's called the lighter than air. And yes, it's something that I'm going to be working on. And it only requires about 10 hours of instruction.
For a blimp?
For a blimp, yeah.
Really?
It's covered under the lighter than air, yes.
Weird.
Now, the insurance may say that I need to have more than 10 hours, but the FAA just says I need 10 hours. That's usually how that works.
We know it.
The limiting factor is...
Thanks, Shane. I'm just curious.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got something
anyway,
I want to show you guys.
But I'm going to say goodnight. You guys, 73, keep going, and I'll keep listening. You have a good night.
Have a good night, Shane.
Good night, man.
All right, I got something I got to show you guys. So this is something. So when I was doing my NFED antenna, it didn't work because the wire gauge was a little bit too small. But this is called a gripple. Okay, does anybody know what this does?
Show it again.
It's called a gripple.
Never heard of that.
There's different formats, different sizes, but this is used for rigging. When we do rigging on certain things, this is aircraft cable. Okay, I did not use aircraft cable for my antenna, but this is like making an aircraft cable into a tie wrap or a quick way to connect them. And so essentially you feed it in one end. Okay, so just hold on. There you go. You feed it through and you can't pull it back. Okay. So if you imagine if you have a wire gauge for your antenna, so say, I don't know what the wire gauge for a 7-strand, but you can get a 12 gauge 7-strand copper wire there. And then you could feed it back. And then it's done. And you start out long. You can start out long, and then you could feed it to shorten it as you're adjusting your antenna. And this thing here, I think it's something like, listen, they suspend like a lot of weight off these in like convention halls and stuff like that. But isn't that cool? You guys ever seen that before? It's pretty awesome.
So can you use that for guying a tower? Is it sturdy enough for that?
Well, there's bigger versions too. Like I have some other ones that are. These are the small ones. There's bigger ones. I'd have to check and see what the load is, the capacity for it is. But the question is, how would you tension it? Because this here is just off of. So essentially, if you were suspending something from a ceiling, so say you go to like a concert, say you go to the Aerosmith concert and they have some thing they want to hang above the stage, they would use these type. Sometimes they would use these. Sometimes they would use chain blocks or motorized chain blocks. But say it was hooked to a truss section that was motorized, they could suspend something underneath it with this and have like a slip adjustment for your height. And so I wanted to use this. Unfortunately, my cable is just a little bit small for the cam to activate. This one here is for 12.5 gauge wire. And so I just use a wire clamp. And if you use a wire clamp, just to let you know, here's the what's it called? The public service announcement. Never saddle a dead horse. You guys know that saying? Mm-hmm. When you put a wire clamp on, you never saddle the dead horse, or else you'll ruin it. But anyways, These things are awesome, and I really, really like them. And I'd love to make an antenna with one of these sometime. So, anyways, Shaq and Greg, what's going on, buddy?
Not much. Just watching Clubhouse. And I saw Scout join, and I figured I'd come on here because he's my boy.
Oh,
That's sweet.
You got a different mug.
Yeah, I finally watched the one that you stick around. They're only good. Like, I wash them about once a month, and then I just rinse them out every day. Spray with the water hose, check out the nets, and but it was time to wash it.
Yeah. So just quickly, Arrow is saying it's based on hanging loads. Exactly. So it's meant for rigging and concert, like hanging, suspending things, not pulling loads. But I think you'd be better off with turnbuckles because you'd have to tension it somehow. So, but anyways, I think it'd be more than fine for an end-fed half-wave antenna. But at the end, anyways, Shaq and Greg, I haven't seen you put out a video lately.
I put one out like a month ago or two. It hasn't been that long.
See you guys.
Hey,
See you,
Don.
Don.
You're gonna have to come and do Don's gonna have to come and do a wrap up to or a follow up to our Redneck engineering episode that's gonna be coming up sometime shortly, and critique all of our horrible engineering capabilities. But Shaq and Greg,
this, but real quick, we were talking about towers.
Yeah,
you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's an observation tower. It was only about 10, 12 feet off the ground, but I did that in New York.
nice.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was
Nice.
I just strapped my fiberglass, my spider beam there in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Got an extra 10, 12 feet off of it.
There you go.
Hey.
Nice.
James, how long have you been licensed, James?
30 years in June.
30 years. Evan, how long have you been licensed, man?
I was licensed almost 4 years ago, November of 17. So yeah.
June 1992.
Very cool. Scout, Shane, when were you licensed, man? How long ago?
June of 2019.
So 2 years. And Shaq and Greg.
Probably about a month before Shane. Our call signs are real close together, so that sounds about right.
Very cool. So if you guys were to have an option for taking your hobby into a different field, so like obviously us as the show, we're trying to figure out, okay, where can we go from here? What can we do? We have a lot of great guests lined up. But if you guys were like, that's something I'd be interested in, but I don't know, what would it be? If you had a choice, money wasn't an issue today, where would you take your hobby?
Literally, Africa.
Africa?
Yep.
Do they have POTAs in Africa, or do they have like
not yet? But I would talk to Jason and make sure they were there before I got there.
How would you abbreviate sand dunes on the air? Sand SDOTA.
Why not just call it dunes on the air?
Dunes on the air. And that'll become dudes on the air very short. Evan, what would you? That's really cool. So that's like DX expeditions, right?
Yeah, I just there isn't a lot of activity coming out of Africa. I mean, you'll get some of the north, Morocco and whatnot, but in South Africa, obviously you get quite a bit. But the interior, there doesn't seem to be a lot of activity. So I would just want to go spread the fun.
That's a really cool idea. What about you, Evan?
Well, so I just started a channel, but my viewpoint on the whole thing is that when I started, there's not a lot of low level instruction, how to achieve the results and the things, that you need to be able to be successful. So I've got a 11-year-old son, and I'm trying to get him, in tune with what I'm doing, no pun intended. But I think getting that message to the younger folks and teaching them kind of, how to, get involved in a hobby at the cheapest possible price tag. That's my mission. That's kind of what I'm going to do with my channel, but we'll see what happens.
I have to say, since I got into the hobby at 12 years old, my dad became a ham. That's how I got into it. I love seeing everyone reaching out to the younger crowd. And these days, it's a lot better. So I got a no code license originally. I have a hearing impairment. Morse code's complicated. I would like to try to learn it and do it at some point, but I got a lot of crap in the early and mid 90s because I was a no code.
Me too.
And I was not very active. In fact, I just got my general this year, a week before field day. I was a tech no code for 29 years, and POTA really lit the fire. But I'm, the Becca and Astralia and some of these other kids I'm hearing on POTA now. I get really excited about that. So Evan, I just want to say thank you for taking it so long. My dad did that for me, and
yeah, thank you, Evan.
Yep, absolutely. I think it's important because that's the future. And it's the future for everything, right? Is the youth. So if we want to expand the hobby in any way whatsoever, I think it's really important that we focus on that. So that's my goal. That's what I'm going to work on. And hopefully within the next year or two, my son he'll get his tech ticket. He was really, really impressed. He did all the videoing in that video, very primitive video that I put out. But he did all the videoing, and he wants to get involved with that. He wants to be the videographer, which is cool too. And so anything we can do to get kids involved in anything is important. So someone's got a call.
Someone's got a phone call. Let's go. So I feel right now like it's almost like we need to come out with an amateur radio version of the video of "We Are the World." That old song, "We Are the World."
We are the Ham.
But no, that's really cool. So like kids are obviously the future. That's a very interesting topic to talk about. I know I've been in a lot of conversations between the realities of getting kids interested and then the realities of their financial circumstances, where they are in life, other activities. So it's a very interesting topic to talk about. But I think that no matter where they take what you've imparted in them, the idea that there's a seed that's planted, we see it all the time, right? Like you see it where kids spend a summer with an aunt or an uncle who on the farm, and then they're hooked on farming, even though they go away for years and they don't go and become a farmer next thing, but they have that interest. I think that's the biggest thing for me. That's my interpretation. The biggest thing is it would be amazing if you have a success where somebody automatically gets in the hobby and carries on. But you even see with Good Game, I think he talked about it, where some of the kids, when you don't have somebody there who is Elmering them specifically or directly, I'm paraphrasing because he obviously has his own, like he knows, like he explained it. I think some of them, when you don't have someone there encouraging you, they lose to some degree the interest, right? Especially, It's almost like a lot of hobbies where if I was stuck on UHF, VHF all day, I'd lose the hobby. Like I'd be like HF for me is the thing, right? And we all have interests. So there's that reality that you impart something in a kid and it might not show fruit straight away, but later on it can, right? And I think that's the biggest thing is that at least we're showing them so that when they are in the position in their life where they can make the decision, the financial investments, and if we can help them in the meantime. But there's the reality that it's kind of like when I was a kid, I played baseball for 3 summers on a team. I played hockey for 4 winters on a team. And then I stopped playing, right? You go through seasons in life, right?
Also, I'll tell you, between you, James, and what you guys were talking, it's the deja vus are popping in my head because I got licensed in the summer of 1989, no code tech, got the cert, didn't really use it too much, spent a whole bunch of time on VHF, UHF. Things in life will always happen. Whether it's marriage, divorce, kids, whatever, jobs here and there, opportunities come up, curveballs get thrown in life. But then all of a sudden, it just seemed like the only exposure I was getting for HF was only on field day. Mm-hmm. And again, maybe that's just maybe I'm the anomaly, or maybe it's more the norm. I think POTA and other HF events now open the opportunity that HF can be used throughout the year. It's your desires. You don't need a whole heck of a lot of money. Again, a ham stick, on a mag mount, make some type of either a buddy pole, a Wolf River coil, an end fed, get something and just get it on the air and just get out there and play. Whether you go to your park, whether you even if it's just your local park or your local ball. Right now baseball season is over, but heck, you got a park sitting there, and if you can get out there, just get out there on a Saturday and play some radio. You never know what you're going to hear. And if anything, be a hunter. Be a hunter in the park and work something on POTA. This is just what I've been doing. I've been telling a lot of people, if you don't want to participate in Parks on the Air as an activator, I get it. But it still gives you an opportunity, because I was one of those guys who would call all day till the cows came home. And you don't really know who's 30 kc above you or kc below you that there's something on, or start chasing those special event stations. Or that's how you get going with and learning about your HF bands. And there's just so much to learn. But the opportunities are just endless. And I think this is a good time for ham radio. The opportunities are there. If you just want to just do the digital modes of D-Star, if you just want to play on FT8, go for it. You're going to learn, you're going to play, you're going to have fun. I said that F word, F-U-N, you're going to have fun. That's what it's about. So that's my rant, Rave.
Greg, what about you? Where would you take your hobby if you had the option?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't ever think that far ahead. I guess the thing that's been sticking in my mind is kind of like Evan, doing stuff with younger people. Maybe starting a club at a local high school. I've thought about doing that, and there's not one. And my wife's a teacher there. I know we could set something up, but it's been on my mind. So maybe if I decide finally get out and do something other than my normal day-to-day grind, that would be something I'd like to do. And it's not about just because I want to do something for the kids or something like that, but it's just getting out and doing something different and getting myself out there a little bit more, other than talking to you guys and YouTube, but actually just getting the hobby out more.
We're not good enough for you, Greg.
Some of you guys are.
I'm surprised you're allowed within 200 feet of the school.
Hey, that's not a school near me. It's a different school.
All right.
I was gonna say, now the school boards have all these regulations of getting the jab. Do they have a policy yet on being sober?
Yeah, well,
there's not a teacher around that would be able to come to the school then.
I think in the last few weeks, the good news is it's like, I could be under the legal limit, but my liver's went down. So it doesn't take me that much to get, feel comfortable and get a good buzz. I could be under a limit and feel like I'm hammered. So,
hey guys, so Sterling in the chat just put an excellent point. And Sterling has done a lot with youths. He's doing some stuff right now, but and thank you, Sterling. And Molson, you really did put out a very good point as far as dropping the seeds. Anything that we here can do to introduce the kids, because again, I've got kids. We all got kids. We know exactly what they're all up against. But I truly believe that one kid or a couple kids is going to come back maybe 10 years later, when they're either in college or right out of college, and they're going to see a shortwave radio. They're going to maybe find out about a ham radio club, and guess what they're going to do? I guarantee you, they will gravitate to it. They will at some level. Then it's up to us as ham radio operators, ambassadors of this hobby. When you feel right, you want to do it, take on somebody. Just take on somebody under your wing a little bit.
Last week was a great example of that. I'm sorry, I forgot her name. I can remember her call sign, Duck.
Junie.
She was exposed to it when she was younger, and she came back to it.
Good point.
Yes. Prime example of exactly what you're saying.
And I want to go to Scott. I want to go to Scout 75 for the question, and then I have a question that we can mull on before we end the show. Like, I don't want an answer to the question because we're going to go to closing up the show after I ask the question. But let's go to Scout 75. Then I have a question. Then we're going to go around the room, do a final thoughts, and then we're going to go to the end of the show. So, Scout 75, what right now is the main thing that if you could push your limit, what would it be?
If money was no object, I already have plans to through hike the Appalachian Trail, and I'm going to bring a radio with and hit a few summits and parks on the way. But in order to do that with my work and everything, I'm limited to like a 5 to 6 month time frame where I can get a sabbatical, and that's kind of the average time to do it. But if I wanted to do it right and hit every park and every summit, I'd take like a year and a half and spend the whole time out there just working every park, every summit, just having a blast and being an ambassador to the hobby to everybody. Because, I'll see tons and tons of people on a very popular trail asking, what the heck are you doing? And all that chance to discuss and everything, it'd just be a blast.
I'd sponsor that plaque for I hit every park and summit on the Appalachian Trail with POTA. I'd sponsor that plaque.
Yeah,
you
it'd be a
don't
blast.
pay for that once. Nobody's crazy enough to do that twice.
So here's my question I'd like people to mull on, and maybe November 0 CR0 Charlie, maybe he want to come on next week sometime to talk about it. If you do, message me. But we talk about kids, and so here's my observation. Right now we see POTA is really, really hot. And I'm sure if I ask most of the POTA guys, it's very similar to, obviously you have the nature side, but there's the hunting and then there's activating. And for me on HF, there's this thrill of getting out there, finding that signal in that remote area, pulling it through the band. It's that connectivity to the world through the simplicity of ham radio and improving your radio and it's the hunt. It's the same thing as what happens. It's the hunt. It's you know what I mean? There's that whole dynamic where you're trying to reach Australia on a wire and it's in the, or you get the pile up. There's a whole different chemistry and interaction that happens on HF than it happens on UHF, VHF, right? I get on here on the repeater. I talk to the guys. It's like, listen, it's awesome. It goes further, but it's not much different. To some degree, it's the same thing as when you were kids with your walkie-talkie talking in your backyard, right? Like, let's be honest here. It's a simple way. It's not the same thing where you're trying to pull a signal out of HF and make those contacts around the world, propagation, all that stuff. It's a whole different dynamic. And to me, that's the fun part of the hobby, HF. That's the fun part. And I think for most of us, especially when you look at POTA, I don't do POTA, but I watch your videos and I get the feeling when you get that rare DX or it's the same kind of dynamic of where can I get to, who can I contact? And unfortunately, to me, I see HF as the most valuable and attractive thing to the hobby than just getting on the UHF, VHF and hey, what's going on, right? Unfortunately for people when they start out, and I know a lot of old school people will say, well, that's just the way it goes. You got to make sure you're good, but you have to go through technician to general to extra, you have to go through that classification. So when you try and package up something like radio to people, like when I had a friend down here last week and he's like, that's amazing. I made contact with Italy right away and France right away, right? That's what he loves about it. That's what attracted him, not the other stuff. So the question is, how do you not lose people on the technical side of it? So the technician level, how do you push them towards the general class or the in Canada, honors with basics? Or how do you package and market the technician class for a way that is similarly attractive to what we see on HF? Does that make sense to you? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because I think that's where you probably lose people, right? So there has to be a way that we can either market it without false advertising, or there has to be a way where we skip technician and that level. When we teach kids, let's push them to general. Let's not even consider the technician side of it. Let's I don't know, what is your test like? Because here in Canada, it's all, the only difference is getting 75% and more on your exam, and you have full frequency privileges on HF, right?
80%.
Hey, Daniel.
80%, yeah.
Hey, so just real quick, because your point is fantastic, but something to think about too is these guys that are tech level, they have ability to get on 10 meters. You think about it, 10 meters is, it's not always the best band conditions or whatever, but there's not a whole lot of exposure or opportunity on 10 meters. So something to think about would be gauging like contests or different things towards 10 meters, towards techs, to get them involved, to get them to essentially get the bug of HF, and then move further. And that's how it is in the US. I know it's different up there in Canada, but they have the ability to get on 10 meters as a tech here in the United States, but there's not a lot going on 10 meters. People just shy away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the problem though. Is like 10 meters it's just not there, right? Like it's just not. We can try to make it, but it's not going to ever stick. Like the place to be is 40 and 20. Let's be honest here, right?
Yeah, you're right.
It's not 60, it's not 15, it's 40 and 20. So it'd be interesting.
It's a goal though. But it's a goal. Wait, hold on. And you're right, but it's a goal. It's a goal that we all had to get to say, if I want to do, it's not a gimme. Yeah, everything in life is about having goals, and you got to work for it. And this is not going to be given to you, but once you get there, don't lose sight. And maybe that's what takes the good ambassadors to help encourage, break down some things. There's going to be some things on some of those questions, people, including myself, I still don't understand to this day. I'm not an engineer. I don't understand it. I don't take apart radios, but I got my license. I worked for it. And now I am so happy I did, because we were able to experience various things. And look at me, I'm 57 years old and I'm still learning. And I'm that F word comes now, having fun.
Yeah. But here's the question. Here's the thing though. If in Canada the only difference between what we would have as your technician in general is a 80% pass, let's say, well, 75, 80%, whatever it is. Okay. Now, would it be better to say, hey kids, we're gonna if we had a school course, you have a year you're doing it, or an Awana club or a Padawans or whatever, that in the teacher's mind, the curriculum is general class. And the reason why I ask you this is because at the end of the day, is it about getting a notch on the belt and saying, I got 20 technicians who are going to do nothing with it in a year, like 80% are going to do nothing with it in a year? Or do we say, hey guys, we're going right to general, and we don't even have to know it. This is the criteria, this is the curriculum, and we teach it. And then the kids pass it, because they're going to pass it. They're young. Let's be honest, guys. When we were kids, I'm going through my kids' homework, shit I learned 20 years ago. I don't remember a damn thing. But I know, like, when I was in high school, I could remember it overnight. These kids are smart. And we don't set the bar low. We set the bar because, honestly, is our expectation of our kids low, or is it higher? I think my kids, if I was to teach them, if I gave them technician and expected technician results, I'll get it. If I gave them general, they would give me general results. I just know, because that's how kids are. And I say,
know it's a separate subject, but I also feel here in the United States our questions are truly not relevant to the hobby itself. And a lot of them are not. And many of us have petitioned the FCC to change it, make it more relevant. And it just seems that it's, I know me personally, I've given up. I've given up writing to the FCC, emailing them, and other groups say, listen, will you please, and I don't want to water down anything. I just want to steer it in a little different direction.
Make it practical.
Yes, make it absolutely.
I had a question about spark gap on my general test this year. I mean, come on.
Yeah, right.
Really?
Yeah.
No, spark gaps are not legal anymore. Okay, I know I got that one right.
Yeah.
Now, the question set for Canada, which I've started to study because I am going to get an actual VE call, because this thing is not nice in a pile up. Everybody's like, did I hear a VE call? And I'll jump in and I'll be like, yep, you did. There's actually a call sign available that's going to be very cool. Hopefully I get it. But anyways, I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want anybody else to go in, because up here in Canada, you can actually have more than one call concurrently. So I don't want Daniel to go steal my cool call sign.
I'm happy with mine.
It's POTA related. Let me put it that way. So the questions in Canada, they're a lot more technical and they're a lot harder. Like even the basic with honors that I plan to pass here, hopefully in the next month or so. Fortunately, a bunch of my elders here are the test crew, so they're not going to let me fail. It just isn't going to happen. They'll take my radios away. But the questions are a lot harder than what I had, for general. And it's definitely different up here in Canada. I mean, the first question I got in the randomly generated exam was something about if you have X, Y, and Z, what's the impedance of this circuit? I'm like, oh man, I actually have to think about my electronics theory again because you don't have to do that,
So I think maybe if some of you guys, I know some of you guys are passionate about teaching kids. It'd be an interesting topic in the future to talk about. Hit me up on Discord and a private message or something like that. Or one of the guys, maybe we'll coordinate an episode where we can solve the world's problems.
I want Sterling to come on. Sterling, if
Sterling would be an awesome guest.
Absolutely.
We're gonna wrap up the show here. Does anybody have something they want to promote, or are we? We build, we learn. I'm gonna have a bunch of videos coming out. Steve, you got something coming up, buddy?
Don't right now, but I've got a few things in the pipe that might be coming soon. So
awesome.
Just got to make sure I can get time to film them.
Izzo?
Smoke Signals RF. Catch me on Twitter. Catch me on YouTube. Going to try to hit the POTA parks this weekend since everything else got done, and we're going to start going. I figured out. I got 52 more parks for the state of Connecticut that I got to get my Connecticut Rove done, and a few other things. So if nothing else, I'll be here next Tuesday.
Awesome, Joe Brett.
K5YVY. I've actually got a video sitting in the queue. I haven't made public yet, but it's already uploaded. And then after tonight's episode, there's a few things. I may go and redo that one again and upload it for the third time. But because now I'm like, there's something else I can put in there. It's the thing, every time I release something after it's released, I'm like, could have put that in there. But anyway, besides that, hanging out.
Sounds good. All right, Shaq and Greg, thanks for coming on tonight. You got a video coming up soon on your channel?
Yeah, I think Evan and I have some things coming up this weekend. I'll let him explain it a little bit, but no, what I want to say is check out Shacking Off on YouTube, and also check out Sterling N0 SSC. He was the first channel I subscribed to. I still think of him as like the OG of Ham Radio YouTube, so I think he's definitely worth checking out.
He's a cool guy. He's a very cool guy.
Yeah, I call him Kyle Jr., but
there you go. Turn the screw. There you go. Get him going.
No, but definitely great material, and he knows what he's doing. So Sterling, if you're still on here, keep putting them out, buddy. It's great. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Scout 75, Shane, how you doing? You got anything coming up on your channel? I love your activation videos. They're great.
Thanks. I got 3 videos that I'm editing. One is my Sodaversary video where I went out and activated my first soda summit within a year or within a day of the year of my first one, and a few others. And the reason I hopped in, you guys were talking about activating towers and bridges and stuff. In 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going up to Copper Peak, Michigan, which is the largest ski jump in North America. And it's also a soda summit. I doubt they'll let me operate from the top of the ski jump, but we'll give it a shot. And if not, I'll operate on the side. And I might be on a certain podcast tomorrow, so keep your eyes out for that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, Dennis from Random Thoughts had a lapse of judgment, and I took advantage of that. So.
Good on you. Good on you.
Good.
So that's about it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Sounds good. Evan, you got something coming? You're starting your channel, right?
Yeah, it's out there. There's going to be some more content coming. I've talked about it for the last 2 weeks on the show, so thanks for having me, first of all. But Saturday, we've got our Ham Fest locally here for our club in Bedford, Indiana. So anybody that's out there that's local and wants to come out and check that out, it starts, I think, 7:30 in the morning Saturday. And then once that's through, Greg and I will be finally starting our 12-part POTA Rove. So that's gonna be a pretty cool experience. We're gonna do some camping. We're gonna have a lot of fun, and hopefully it goes well. So we'll be operating via ham stick, 20 meters and 40 meters, possibly 17. So it should be a good time. But otherwise, that's it, man. That's all I got. Great show, guys.
Yeah, and we'll probably finish it off with a Ham Radio Lube short. So check out the channel for that.
Don, what's up, buddy?
one quick business point of order is James. Do we have to vote him in? I'm not. Has he been voted?
Oh,
in
that's
before?
right. I'll make a motion to accept. I'll make a motion to have James come to the Ham Radio Clubhouse.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome to the clubhouse.
Thank you.
Everybody who's watching tonight, thank you so much. We appreciate every one of you. Thank you for being here.
I don't get a
we
plug.
look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. And I'm going to pass it to James for the final, and then we're going to wave 73 at the end. James, what's up, buddy?
I don't have a channel yet. Look for that in the future. But if you love POTA, KMRK, got to give it to POTA, Daddy.
K8MRD.
MRD. Yes. MRD. Yes, sorry.
The POTA's daddy.
Sorry,
yeah.
Mike. I mangled your call sign, but yeah.
Hey, James, what's that brown? James, what's that brown stuff on your nose?
Shut up.
Hey, Mike got me going into POTA, so guess what? If I can do it, anybody can do it.
I knew about POTA, but seeing some of the things he was doing got me going on it, and I've got a good job. He needs the support.
That sounds good.
I came across his first official activation video today, 3 years ago.
A young Mike.
It was like
a young MRD, huh?
Young MRD.
A young MRD, I know.
Smarter, handsomer.
POTA Papa.
I actually had one of the local hams here ask me if I knew who Mike was. And I said, no, not at all. But if you watch his YouTube videos, I'm in a couple of them. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, listen to the call signs on the radio.
There you go. You're right. You're right.
I've been, I'm
all right,
surrounded
guys.
by a bunch of older guys, so I got to get him into YouTube. I got to get him on the club's house and everything.
Listen, guys, 73 to everybody. We appreciate you. Have a good night. And hold on, we got to hit that outro video. Where the heck is it?
I got it.
Outro video. Boom.